I'm at the beach today. I just filmed. People are walking on the path. MK, who's just my photographer. This video is going to be all about how I edit and take my Instagram photos. So it's gonna be kind of a montage of me posing, walking around, and then I'm gonna show you guys a screen recording of my phone to show you exactly how I edit most of my photos. So I hope you guys will continue watching to see all of my tips and tricks. So when I pose for Instagram photos, I am never still. I'm always moving, and that kind of creates variation in posing. And it also gives it more of that natural feel. If you're kind of stiff posing, I'm like not a model. I have no idea how to properly pose. But if you're walking, moving, twisting, turning, out of the 100 photos you might take, I mean, I always take like around 100 photos in like one shoot. But in the 100 photos, I always end up walking away with like 10 to 20 that I really like. You might look a little silly because you're moving around so much, and it might feel a little off to those of you who don't pose this way, but I do think this is the most effective way for at least myself when it comes to posing and getting a good Instagram photo. So whenever I edit a photograph, I always check how bright the scenery is, what kind of background I'm working with, because the brightness of the photo can really affect how I'm going to edit it. So if it's a dark photo, I'll probably brighten it up more than I would a normal photo like midday. So for the photographs that I'm editing in this video, obviously I took them in the middle of the day. It's super bright out, sunny, so I did expose it a bit. I could have kept going, and I really like using the exposure tool because I feel like it makes the photo extremely bright, and that's kind of the aesthetic that appeals to me most. And then once I've worked with the exposure, a lot of times when you brighten it, it takes away the color from certain aspects of the picture, so then I always go straight into the saturation tool and contrast. Since some of the color gets taken out from the exposure tool, I always end up saturating my photos. Again, to repeat myself, I absolutely love how bright photographs look. It's the aesthetic that appeals to me most, and it's something that I really like incorporating into my feed. Then once I saturate the photo, I kind of play around with the white balance, which is on VSCO. If you guys use that app, the tool is called white balance, and I always play around with the temperature. A lot of times I turn the temperature to the left, which makes it colder, rather than to the right, which makes it quote unquote hotter, and that kind of gives it a sandier, more like brown, orange, yellow feel. And if you turn it on to cold temperature, it gives it more of a bluish tint, which I personally prefer. And then I kind of just go through the app back and forth, playing around with each one of the tools. But if there are 4 tools that I use the most on VSCOcam, it would be exposure, saturation, white balance, and contrast. A lot of people ask me if I use Instagram filters, VSCOcam filters, or other apps. I used to use filters on the app called Prime, but I no longer use filters on my photos. I kind of like a more natural vibe these days. I feel like that's kind of what's in, and I like making it look the least edited it can possibly look. So the more natural for me, the better, but obviously I do a lot of different things to enhance my image and make it look clearer, brighter, and, in my opinion, funner. If you guys want to get more of a feel on how I edit my photos and the kind of aesthetic I like, go check me out on Instagram at Hannah Bucknam. I hope this video was able to simplify for you guys small little tips and tricks you can use on apps like VSCOcam to enhance, brighten, and make your pictures more appealing to the eye. As always, thank you all so much for watching. It really means the world. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. All you need is a Gmail, and click subscribe once you're logged in on YouTube.